Anyways, I said to myself, Mike, no more wet and cold together. I'll do cold. I've been out at Berry River Bay when it's 10 degrees out, you know.
I remember one time we were doing something for Bike Week, and I said, "Would you like to come and kind of be the cop, you know, be the policeman talking about laws and stuff like that?" And I think your quote was, "I would rather race a crit on brick in the rain than do public speaking."
Your memory's better than mine.
It was so perfect. I was like, "Well, that sounds gruesome." So he totally doesn't want to do this.
So maybe we're going a different direction then.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But you're a bike racing guy.
Maybe former, or maybe partially now.
Well, so Jake just outed you. You're doing that 215 mile.
That's
thing.
different.
Is it?
Yeah, there's not as much crashing in those kind of races. You know, they're more about you and your abilities than the pack and the technique of cornering with a big group of guys or gals or whatever. But I'm trying to do safer racing, so let's just say that.
Sounds good. The falling's less appealing these days.
Yeah. The older you get, the less appealing it is.
So you've been riding bikes a long time.
Yes.
Somebody came in here and told me you're some kind of phenom track star or swimming or something in high school.
Yeah, I've been athletic ever since I was a little kid, you know, but yeah, I was big into track. I ran track for a little bit at Western, and I swam quite a bit. So that's probably how I started, was dabbling in triathlons when I was younger, you know.
Mm-hmm. But the biking was a little more sticky than the running and swimming parts?
Absolutely. When I was younger, you know, you didn't know about bike racing in small town Midwest. So we used it for transportation. And then when I started dabbling in triathlons, of course, going to meeting some of the area triathletes and swimmers, they suggested, hey, you're going to have to get a bike and start getting serious about this riding thing if you're going to. So I tried to get into it. Mm-hmm. And that's probably where it started. That would have been 80s, you know. Sometime in the 80s, early mid 80s.
So I always am intrigued by your perspective on things as a retired law enforcement officer, because one of the things cyclists like to squawk about is cars. One of the things that I believe motorists like to squawk about are cyclists.
Sure.
And, but combined with that, one of the interesting things around here locally is, are things like infrastructure, education, enforcement, all those kind of things related to cycling. So just to sum all this crap up, it seems to me like things are getting better on both sides of the coin as far as tolerance goes.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Definitely the infrastructure has gotten quite a bit better. As managers of these streets, projects, things like that come on board with it, you've seen the infrastructure really change in the last 20 years in Michigan. So look at Portage and all they've done for cycling, and even now the city of Kalamazoo. But even the county road commission several years back started, when they redo a road, they usually put a paved shoulder. At least some paved shoulder. You go down to Tennessee and ride, it's white line and ditch.
Right.
So infrastructure has gotten really, really, really good. The problem with the traffic thing on the traffic side, or the motorist side, is everyone's more in a hurry. There's more congestion. There's more cars on the road. There's more people. And this phenomenon of road rage is getting worse. And for some reason, a slow cyclist on the road triggers that more than a lot of things. I don't know why. They don't get mad at a farmer doing the same speed as a cyclist. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't throw things at the farmer because he's going slow. They put up with that, or they have a little bit of feelings for that. But the cyclist still causes this road rage thing. I'm not sure exactly what that is.
So do you think it's because it's a perception of leisure? You know, I'm trying to get to work, or I'm trying to get home, and here's a guy farting around.
Sure.
Weird clothes.
Yeah.
Unappealing.
I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. There could even be some jealousy. They're going to work and you're having fun.
So, how old are you?
57.
57.
Close. That's my racing age. I always go by racing age. I'm 56. My racing age this year is 57. Doesn't give me a new bracket to race in, but
So one of the things I want to talk about is you've been athletic. You've been a fit guy your whole life. Is that ever a challenge, or is that so a part of who you are that it just happens?
yeah, my wife asked me, why can't you just ride? Why do you have to be so hardcore about it, racing and training so hard? And I told her, it's not something you can just turn off. I've been pretty serious about sports since I was in rocket football. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I've thought about that. If it's part of who you think you are, it is hard to just give up.
Well, I don't think you should if it's part of who you are. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, well, I've been busted up in crits so much, I've gave those, even though that's my best, avenue of competition, I've given the crits up just because it's wise at this age. That's why gravel road racing's become so, attractive to me.
So why don't you come out and race some cyclocross? That's pretty close to crit.
Yeah.
Dirt's a little softer.
Yeah. I that's one of the most intense racing you'll ever do is a cyclocross race. That is...
Make your eyes roll back in your head.
That is 45 minutes to an hour of the hardest racing you'll ever do. It's painful.
It is.
But I've enjoyed it when I've done it. It's just real... That's quite a workout. That's intense.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
So you're doing this 200-mile thing.
Yeah. Are you going to try? Somebody talk me out of it.
I don't know. I'm pretty enthused to know somebody who's doing it.
Well, here was my thought on the thing. I've done all the short stuff, and I know that's what I'm good at, short stuff. So if the crit comes down to a sprint, I'm in it. Mm-hmm. If a reasonable length road race comes down to a sprint, I'm in it. Once the hills and the distance come in, the time on the bike comes in, I was always in trouble. So at this stage of my life, I thought to challenge myself, it's not going to be to do another crit or another short road race. It's going to be to do something longer that I really don't know if I can do. Mm-hmm. And I was telling Jake B, I said, I need someone to hold me down, to keep me back, and let's try to do a pace. Because normally I want to go out with the fast guys. I don't care how old they are. I'm going with the fast guys.
Right.
And sometimes it works, many times it doesn't. So this time I'm going to try to have a strategy of just maintaining a decent pace, a slower pace. And I'm trying to change my training to that too, which is hard. But that's my goal.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I also wanted to do something, several years ago, someone tried to get me to do the Dirty Kansas, the 200-miler out in Kansas. Mm-hmm. I thought they were crazy. But then when I saw the promoters come up with this 210-miler, I thought, well, it's in Michigan. It's closer by. I'll have a support crew. I think I'm going to try it.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, though.
It does sound crazy. I did one of Cricket's 200-mile things.
Yep.
It's a long day.
It's a long day. Last time I did it, I swore I'd never do it again. And here I am doing it again.
Wasted swearing.
Yeah.
That's good. So, how was that fat bike race?
I still can't believe you let me come in here and even talk to you.
It's totally good.
If that conditions had stayed the same, it would have been just fun. But that's the kind of racing I also swore off. 3 hours in the cold, miserable mud, soaked to the bone, Oh, that was miserable. But I had fun. I can't believe that.
That's good.
Only because of the bike you let me borrow.
That's good. Yeah, we had a good time doing our thing. And then, we're up on the hill watching your race go. And I saw Joe Thomas just pancake it right in front of the pit area. And I thought,
yeah.
Glad I'm done.
Some of the younger kids, Alex Shaw and some of those guys that don't have an ounce of fat on them, they were shivering so bad. I didn't know if they were going to be able to keep going. And it was just that miserable soak to the bone. Your feet were soaked with mud and wet, and it was bad.
Paint a beautiful picture.
Oh, those pictures don't even tell. The pictures just show how muddy it was.
Yeah, they don't measure the cold. That's right.
Yeah, those are the two things I said I won't do again anymore. Cold and wet together.
It's not good.
Yeah. Barry-Roubaix a couple years ago was 35 degrees and raining, spitting, freezing rain. I said, they can keep my money. Donate it to the good cause.
Did you go up to do Iceman that year? It was so terrible a few years ago, and then not do it?
Yeah. Woke up in the morning, I heard the sleet on the roof of the RV, and I said, Sherry, I'm out. So I had an umbrella and a raincoat at the start, watching those guys with blue lips getting ready to take off. So a year or two before that, I tried to do one of the first gravel road races up in Traverse City was called the Rock Road 50-50. Well, it was 50 miles or 30 miles, and I chose the 50 because I'm silly. And it started pouring during the national anthem, I mean coming down. And it started at 52 degrees, but it dropped 10 or 12 degrees in less than an hour. So for most of the race, it was like 40 degrees and rain and hard. And it was 3 hour plus race. And I got done with that, and I was so miserable. $200 damage to the bike. You guys fixed all that. I think you like those races. Anyways, I said to myself, Mike, no more wet and cold together. I'll do cold. I've been out at Barry River Bay when it's 10 degrees out, But I am not doing, even 50 degrees pouring rain is miserable.
It's the worst.
It is.
So, I've been watching your antics. Somehow, I don't know how I'm seeing all this stuff, that you're going out when it's, 5 degrees and going out. So tell me, what's your strategy? I mean, do you not get that cold? Do you have?
It's gear.
Yeah.
Over the years, I remember one year we were out there and we really didn't have the gear. We had somewhat winter boots, but they were midweight, and it was 7 degrees out. And only 2 of us showed up. We're out there about 3/4 of the way through the Barry River Bay course, and we seriously thought we were going to get frostbite. So we were going to knock on a farmer's door and just say, can we come in for a few minutes? But after that ride, we made a rule. If it's 10 or below, we don't go. Mm-hmm. So I'll go in the teens. Once you start getting down in those single digits, I mean, I did try going out on a single digit night with Jake and Albie, and it was miserable. So even with, I got the 45 North Wolfhammers, $300 boots. Mm-hmm. Those make a big difference. The bar mitts make a huge difference on your hands. So once you get that gear down, I think that's the biggest challenge, is having the right gear so that you don't freeze or get frostbite. And then one of my other little tricks is I use a beeswax. I think it's called a sports wax. You wax it on your nose and your cheeks or any exposed skin, and it's just enough to keep that wind chill from frostbiting you. Mm-hmm. It works pretty good. I think they use it out in the Iditarod and things like that. They put some type of stuff on, but that helps too for the exposed skin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's been a good ride. Kalamazoo's a great riding community.
It is a great riding community, and you do it all, right? You road ride, you mountain bike.
Sure.
We haven't talked too much about your mountain biking, but
yeah.
You're into it.
It's cyclical. I remember when I first got into riding, I bought a mountain bike, and this was the early 80s, and I'd have people ask me what it was. I'd go ride at El Sable and come back a week later and only see my tracks there. So that's how long it spanned. And then there was a while where you couldn't even see a mountain bike or vice versa. You wouldn't see hardly a road bike on the whole racks, any of the racks. So just sports, and it's kind of cycling back towards.
It's cycling toward mountain right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Fat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fat, mountain, gravel, all
Look
that
how
kind
far
of stuff.
fat's come.
It's incredible.
It's incredible.
It was the weird. I remember the first time I saw a Pugsley on Lake Michigan. I was like, really?
Yeah. I took my original year, 2005 purple Pugsley. It only came in one color. I took it to Iceman one year, and people asked me, what is that and why do you need one? Well, you'll find out soon. They're just so fun.
Yeah.
And I rode outside all winter with it. It just helped a lot, for winter riding.
So, just to kind of go to Nerdville for a second.
Right.
Your training. I gather that you're not like super analytical. You're not surrounded by power meters and heart rate monitors, maybe heart rate monitors.
I think you're being nice and saying I'm old and I haven't kept up with technology, but
I'm not sure that's true. I think some people have a really good sense of their body, and some people don't. Like I don't. I need some stupid piece of hardware to tell me how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Well, I think the big trick is, and I have had professional coaches, and that does help quite a bit. And then once you do one for a year or two, you'll get a pretty good sense of what you should be doing. Mm-hmm. So what he said to me one time was, Mike, most amateur athletes do not go hard enough on their hard days or soft enough on their soft days. He said, if you have a recovery day and I give you something to do and you think you can't go that soft, I'd rather have you just stay home and not do nothing. So I think if you know how to go hard on your hard days and soft on your soft days, it's a big thing.
I think you're exactly right. I think most of the people that I come into contact with ride at that mid-tempo range all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And what it does is you'll get fat, you'll get fast, you'll get fitter. But then you'll reach a plateau where you're not, see, everybody says, well, I'm not getting any faster now. Well, because you got to change that. You got to
Right.
get in some intervals. You got to push yourself into some shorter, more cross training, cyclocross. Well, that's quite at the intervals. But yeah, I agree.